Hello and welcome to Give Me the Remote. This is episode 32 and it is February the 6th, 2019. I'm Sheridan and I'm joined here by my co-host...
John, hello. I am John. Sheridan is the other voice you are listening to. And we are back. The Song of the Cicadas is playing in the background, but it's otherwise a reasonably pleasant night here in Canberra. And I think this is the strongest lineup of shows we have ever done. I'm just going to throw that out there now.
I'm really excited. I think we might have to downgrade normal 5-star shows to 4 stars.
We could just go to 6 or even 5.5. Sheridan famously does not do half stars.
I do not do half stars. I've been thinking about it for this one though, but I can't. I feel like I need to I've committed. I've got to follow through.
Okay, so what are that we're talking about?
Let's start with Forever.
Do you remember the time we were here and we saw all those butterflies?
Oh, yeah, that was really cool. Where do you think they were all going?
Probably the Grand Canyon. That's where I would go if I could fly.
Which is a new Amazon property that has Maya Rudolph and Fred Armisen as a married couple who, now, actually, we didn't really talk about this before we started.
Yep.
So I'm not really sure how we should review this show because the trailer for this show gives absolutely nothing away as to what this show's about. So should we honour that?
I think to discuss the show, we need to mention it is primarily about the afterlife.
Is it, though?
Well, it's about a lot of things.
I think it's about marriage.
It's definitely about marriage, or at least serious relationships. This is a consummately grown-up show.
Yeah.
If
Your teenage kids aren't going to watch it.
If you're under 30, there is almost nothing in this for you.
Oh no, I'm old.
Which is actually something in common with a lot of what we're going to be talking about tonight, actually. We're going to get back to this theme. Amazon Prime are really starting to ramp up their properties. And one thing that's clear is Amazon Prime are making TV for Jeff Bezos.
Just old guy TV.
Well, not necessarily old guy, but you've got to remember one big thing about Jeff Bezos is the dude has revolutionized the business of book publishing 3 times already in his life. And he is...
And arguably, consumer, grocery retailing.
Oh, yeah, but I'm talking specifically about books. First of all, with Amazon's delivery of printed books, he became the biggest seller of books in the world.
Yep.
Then by driving the e-reader revolution... totally changed books, and now with the way he funds Audible to deliver audiobooks, that's a third Gutenberg had 1 revolution to his name. Bezos, I would argue, has got 3 revolutions, maybe not quite Gutenberg level, but within sight of them, and he's got 3 of them. And a big thing he is doing is buying up literary properties to make TV shows, and while this isn't a literary property, it feels a lot like one. And as storytelling, it is literary. The arcs this goes on. It does a whole episode on a digression.
Yeah, so before we get into that, for me, I feel as though Amazon hasn't really produced a lot of great content. There's been a lot of promise, but they haven't really gotten a lot of great shows.
Maisel got a lot of Golden Globes, more than it deserved, I would say.
I agree. I definitely agree. I think Maisel is...
You still can't bring yourself to watch season 2.
Pretty mediocre.
First showed some promise, but we never quite got around to watching the rest, and then they cancelled it before anyone actually got to Mars. So it doesn't seem like a lot of point.
Gods was pretty disappointing.
I liked American Gods.
I don't think you can like that show if you've not read the books.
That's entirely possible. Jeff Bezos has read the book, though.
Yeah. So anyway, back to Forever. So Maya Rudolph, who most people will know from Saturday Night Live and Bridesmaids. She's most recently been in The Good Place, which we reviewed last week.
She's having a huge moment at the moment.
She is. She's in a lot of stuff. She's great
hosting major award shows, and considering up until now, it doesn't feel like she's done that much outside of SNL. She's really doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And Fred Armisen, who Was also on SNL, but I think probably people most know him mostly from a show called Portlandia, which I did not like. And I mainly didn't like it because of him, and I'm not sure my view on him has changed after watching this show, but we'll talk about that later.
I think he plays the character he's playing brilliantly. That character is not enormously likeable.
Yeah. So they play a married couple, and now, so how much should we reveal?
Look, I think we can say that, I mean, it explores their marriage at some significant length. And for the first 40 minutes, I was going, what the hell's going on here? And then there is a transition to some sort of afterlife. And I feel comfortable saying that it's relatively early in the show.
It happens after the first episode.
Yeah, it's essential to talking about the show. And, I mean, it just tells a lot of stories about these two people and their relationship. And the stories are quite distinct. Just that the episode focused on her life after he's died. That's a whole episode, pretty much.
Yeah.
And how you cope when someone, even if you have been a bit bored with them, the relationship's been a bit tired, but you've been together forever, and suddenly you're on your own. And they explored quite touchingly and very humorously in parts. For all, I would say the writing is slow. The pacing on this is like nothing I've seen since the 1970s. Not that I watched much in the 1970s, I hasten to add, but I've watched things of the 1970s. Excuse me. So the pacing is very different to most other things you watch. Much slower paced, much more contemplative.
Well, it has to be, though, because they're actually like, the major theme is exploring the banality of marriage.
Yeah.
So in a sense, they need to...
And relationships more broadly.
Yeah, but
There
primarily...
are other relationships in the show than just those two.
But the only long-term relationship in the show is the marriage.
Geez, there isn't enough space to do another one.
It's not a criticism, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
My problem, though, is I think Fred Armisen, I just think he can't play normal dudes without coming across as, like, a creepy weirdo.
I felt more that he was a bit gormless in this, but I thought, and now he might be gormless himself as well, but the character was meant to be quite a man lacking gorm.
Who would stay married to this douchebag?
Well, he was nice. He was pleasant. He cooked nice dinners. Gave her back rubs. He was ticking all the boxes.
Oh, he's something really creepy and off about him.
Okay.
And they had no sexual chemistry at all.
I thought they had old person sexual chemistry.
No, they didn't.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, that's
Yes,
one problem
boss.
I've got with it.
Mm-hmm. Are you going to dock him half a star for that?
Yeah.
All right. Half a star down.
So yeah, it's a very surprising show. Like, there's a lot of surprises in it.
Yeah. All the time we're like, what the hell just happened?
I think the best episode is the one that you referred to earlier, which was basically an episode that is about a completely unrelated, well, what first appears unrelated story about a couple.
Talk about the real estate agents.
Yeah, who meet. Like, they're not part of the narrative. And it's just this really, really charming, sad, beautifully written episode.
It literally could be its own movie. It wouldn't be a movie that set the world on fire, but it totally could have just been its own movie.
This is great TV moment.
But they do, but they tied it in. So you're sitting there going, "What the hell's this got to do with it?" And then just in the very last scene, you go, "Ah."
Yeah.
And it's rewarding to the viewer like that. I would say, like, the first episode, I was like, what on earth are we watching? Why am I watching this? Why is it so slow?
You were not convinced because it was my night to choose TV and you were like, oh my God.
Yeah, but after that, I've got to say, we were definitely wanting to see more. We were champing at the bit, to get the next episode on. And that's the highest praise you can possibly give to a show in this era of streaming.
Yeah. It's got Catherine Keener in there, who is an awesome actress.
Also having a bit of a late moment.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. She's been quite well known for a while. Anyway, she's a great actress and is really good in the show as well. So I don't know. What else do you want to say about it?
Just if you are between the ages of 30 and 70, this show is adult entertainment made for you. So I would say appreciate it and get on it. It
is actually nice to watch a show that there's quite a bit of intellect and thought behind it.
Look, I feel slightly uncomfortable watching entertainment about high school kids. I feel there's a voyeuristic element to the likes of Riverdale.
I'm not meant to be watching this anymore.
Yeah. Well,
Well, and it's also like the really overtly kind of sexualized content and stuff. You're like, not sure that's for me anymore.
I'm just past sexualized teenagers.
Yeah,
just because I'm too old.
And also like their gossipy stories and whatever. You're like, yeah, it's entertaining, but like I feel sort of it's not making me smarter or a better person watching it.
Yeah.
Whereas I think this kind of show actually makes you think about your own life and think about the characters and why they're written the way they are, and it's clever and interesting, and you feel as though things are going to happen that are surprising and rewarding, and that's a really, really that's what you want from TV.
Yeah, but just as someone in the, dare I say it, the middle stage of life, it's nice to feel relatively rarely, particularly as Gen Xers, there's never been a lot of entertainment based around our age group.
Oh, you don't think?
Not a lot, aside from the comic books that are taken over everything at the moment. But aside from that, there wasn't a lot. It was all the generation before or the generation after, and this is something aimed very squarely at Gen Xers saying, "What the hell's happened to my life?
That is true. Yeah.
Why can't I see my toes?"
Yeah.
It's got some thoughts about where you've been and where you're going, which is the grave. Sorry.
So what are you going to give it?
I reckon 4.5 stars.
Okay. Well, I don't do half stars, and I'm going to give it 4 stars. It was a pretty hard choice whether to give it 5 stars or not.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel as though there's a couple of they're minor issues with the pacing and with Fred Armisen, who maybe it's just a personal dislike, but I just don't get a lot of joy there. Or
Yeah, right.
but it's not a criticism. Like anyway, 4 stars is a good score.
It's a good score. On a scale of minus infinity to 10, minus 100 is still a good score. But yes, 4's a good
4
score.
stars. 4 stars, maybe nearly a 5.
Ooh. We're still saying watch it if you're the right age group. So what's next?
Russian Doll.
My God.
Sweet birthday, baby! No, life's short, carpe diem, etc., right?
What I do in my time is my business, my choice, baby.
You need to get on this right now.
Last time I checked, this is sitting on 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
100%. There are things out there with like a 76% that boast about it, and this is 100%.
It's a very, very good show. So, new Netflix property. So, how would you describe the story? So, it's basically a Groundhog Day, but I don't want you to be put off by this.
No, Groundhog Day has become seminal in all sorts of weird ways for what's quite a mediocre movie. And I'd say it's definitely an inspiration for this, and saying, let's do Groundhog Day from the point of view of a woman living in New York, instead of a creepy dude visiting a country town.
Yes. So, Nadia Vulvokov. I'm not very good with the Russian. Vulvokov. That's right, isn't it?
That's sounding good to me. I don't think her
who's-
last name ever gets mentioned in the show, but
It does, actually.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it does quite a few times.
Mhm.
Is played by Natasha Lyonne, which people will know from Orange Is the New Black.
And American Pie.
I know she played Jessica in American Pie. Sweet.
Jessica was the ballsy girl in the Doc Martens. Yes.
So anyway, she actually created it with Amy Poehler and Leslie Headland, and I think wrote a couple of episodes. So
She's
this
certainly a key writer.
Yeah, like the character was basically created for her. She's a 36-year-old New Yorker who's at her 36th birthday party, and
over and over again.
every night dies.
Not every night, but she's in a
close
cycle of
to.
death and
she's
resurrection.
in a cycle. Yeah, she dies either that night or close to that night, and then wakes up at her 36th
Comes to
birthday
in
party.
the toilet at the party.
Yeah. And it's basically just what is it? It's like her trying to work out what the hell is going on.
It is, and the beauty of this, it reminded me a little bit of watching Bandersnatch, except instead of having to fumble our way through it, we were led through it, which is the whole point about producing these sorts of things.
Yeah.
It was like when you hear a piece of music that is variations on a theme, and it keeps playing the same theme and keeps playing the variations.
Yeah.
And the beauty of this was knowing the theme, watching for the variations, and then pondering their significance. And it's quite beautiful in that there are all sorts of Easter eggs in there for the audience that never get overtly referenced. You never get any exposition about them. I'm not going to spoil them for you in the audience, but there's just things that you will notice and that you'll think, that means something, and the characters won't stop and talk about it. It's just there.
Yeah. The rewatchability on this show is very high.
I don't know if I'll ever do it, but I know there are people who are gonna
I
spend
think
the rest
I'll
of
do
their
it.
lives watching it. Yeah.
And also it's only 8 episodes and they're only about 30 minutes
Thank
long.
God for something actually made the right length.
Finally, I actually was in this position where I have been like moaning about Netflix shows being too long, and this one I was like, I wish this was just like a little bit longer.
I could easily have done a bit more, but they left us wanting more, which is the key to entertainment.
And for we've described it. It's obviously a Groundhog Day kind of deal, but you're never bored. It's really, really well done. It's not, in Bandersnatch it kind of happens a bit like, and obviously it happened in Groundhog Day, when, they wake up again, you're like, oh, do I have to live through that little bit again where they're trying to set it up?
Well, no, because the variations are so pronounced. Like, how many girls are going to walk past her on the way into the toilet?
It's great. It's really good. It's
what
done
conversation
really well.
is she going to have with her friend who owns the apartment?
Yeah.
And sometimes she dies within seconds of coming to, and so there's always that jeopardy and suspense. And it's amazing that you can have jeopardy when you know she's going to show up in the toilet again.
Yeah, it's very, very well done. And the other main character in it, he's a guy named Alan, who's played by Charlie Barnett, who's pretty much seems to be like an unknown, or like he's been in like episodes of SVU and things like this. But he's like this amazing counter personality to her. Like he's like they're really different. Like they work together in a really interesting way.
Their relationship unfolds in a very organic way as well. They're very different people. They respect things they see in each other that they don't see in themselves.
Then they're forced together.
They're forced together, but they also turn on each other as well when they see things they don't like about each other. So it's a very realistic, sensible, dare I say it, grown-up relationship. This is set a little younger than Forever, but it's still, again, a movie I would say that is, not movie, show, that is for grown-ups.
Yeah,
this one I reckon a 20-something can watch and get, but it's also about death.
Well, Nadia's character, she might be 36, but she's like pretty cool 36. She's a chain-smoking game developer. I actually found that very weird, to be honest with you, to watch a TV show where there's so much pronounced cigarette smoking. I feel as though
it felt like Rothmans had sponsored it. Yeah.
Because she smokes constantly.
I think they're trying to portray something with her smoking, which is that she doesn't take care of herself, and she probably hates herself at some level. I mean, she definitely hates herself. I mean, she sleeps with terrible men.
I guess there's too also this kind of dynamic of her repeatedly dying and engaging in this sort of destructive behaviour but wanting to kind of get out of the dying loop. But
showing no signs of ditching the destructive behaviour, mind you. Although you'd like to think that having gone through this trauma, she can reevaluate some things and be happier.
Yes.
I don't know what more we could...
It's very hard to talk about the show because it's like you just kind of have to watch it. It's so unique, and you don't want to give away too much.
But also, I mean, any given story arc is extremely short. Woman comes to in toilet at party. Woman talks to some people at party. Woman dies. Rinse, repeat. So it's in those variations, and then there is narrative continuity from variation to variation, and that is the space in which the story is told. To which I say, maybe Groundhog Day a little bit, maybe Bandersnatch a little bit, but you very rarely see a story told that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really...
And it demands things of you as a viewer. You need to pay attention. You need to figure out what's going on, because the individual characters are not going to figure out a lot of things that you can figure out.
Yeah. It's amazingly shot. New York looking as good as New York can look. I think a lot of women are going to get really curly hair soon. It's a very cool curly haircut.
Yeah, it's amazing hair.
Yeah. But I think, her hair's really like that in real life. So, but it looks cool.
Yeah, I mean, she's had a rough life. Like her Wikipedia bio, troubles with the
really?
law.
I didn't read that.
Yeah, troubles with the law and hospital and eviction and.
Really? But
yeah.
she's been acting for since she was quite young.
She's had an exciting life. She knows where she speaks with her depiction of this character.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, she plays it in that kind of deadpan way, the same way she plays Nikki in Orange Is the New Black.
Yeah, right.
That kind of stuff, it's a deadpan kind of delivery. That's I guess what she does.
There's some beautiful language in this. Like, this is a crack team of writers. There's a beautiful phrase where her half adopted mum, half therapist bumps into her at the party and realizes something's wrong and says, "Let's sit crooked and talk straight." And just like, that is a brilliant phrase. I'm looking forward to using that one.
Yeah.
And it's just littered with.
Well, there's a lot of comedic elements to the show. Like, it's a very dark comedy.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it's a comedy about millions of ways to die.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would also add, don't get too worried. It's highly unlikely to die in any of the ways depicted if you think about them. It's that they're for dramatic effect. It's not serious risk.
What do you mean? It's not gory?
No, I mean, it just in that you can be like, oh God, I should never walk down a staircase again because I might fall. It's like they elevate the risk levels for effect of the behaviour. All right then. How many stars?
I'm going to give it 5 stars.
5 stars from me. 5-star high five. Woo! Double 5.
What's next?
Bad Times at the El Royale.
Isn't it El Dorado? Oh no, it's El Royale.
It's the
Sorry.
El Royale.
Scratch that.
The El Royale is a bi-state establishment. You have the option to choose a room in either California or Nevada.
How'd you end up at the El Royale?
The Ritz-Carlton was booked.
This place used to be hustling and bustling. Old Dean Martin even sang a song about it once.
This is not a place for a priest, Father. You shouldn't be here.
We might need to work on your sales pitch, son. The El Royale, no place for a priest.
Tarantino reference there. This felt like an early Tarantino film to me.
Well, I just actually realised how old I was getting because now there's dudes making homages to Tarantino.
And
I'm like, wow, when did that happen? When did it happen?
I hope Quentin has appreciated that someone's made a homage movie to his style of movie making and done it so well. I would say this has been savaged by critics, and I have a theory.
It's got mixed reviews, so I wouldn't say that it's been entirely savaged, but it's got mixed reviews, and it didn't perform well in the box office.
And it had a lot spent on because we were seeing ads for it for
it cost $32 million
for weeks. And it made about 32 back, although ad budget, but it'll make streaming services. It's complicated.
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to lose money on this, to be honest, and I suspect it's going to turn into a cult sleeper because reviewers tend to be in their early 20s. And working for media outlets before they realise that they're never going to earn any money in media, or they're fundamentally retirees and they're doing a bit of movie reviewing on the side. And this movie is not aimed at early 20s or 60 pluses.
I'm not sure.
And I think it has fallen between the stools, the reviewers. I've read so many reviews where it was either being panned by a 20-something or panned by a 60-something, and I thought,
I'm not sure
there's something missing there because this is a movie aimed squarely at the 30 to 40-year-olds.
I think it is aimed in that bracket, but I think there's some serious problems with the movie.
Right.
But give us an overview. What would
So
you say?
the El Royale is a hotel on the border between California and Nevada, and they do a lot of fun things. Like there's a line through the hotel, and rooms are $1 an hour, $1 a night cheaper in Nevada, but you can't drink alcohol on the Nevada side. And then there's a whole bunch of reprobates and criminals converging on the El Royale for their own narrative needs, and then they're combining with each other in all sorts of horrific and exciting ways that I don't think we need to spoil for anyone. And then late in it, there's an intervention by Chris Hemsworth as a cult leader and he is channeling Brad Pitt from about 15 years ago so hard. It's
he's a good comic actor, I think. Chris Hemsworth. He plays the character in a very clever, funny way. You're just threatened by him, but also amused.
It's good to see him playing something more energetic than Thor.
I think he had that kind of timing with Thor, though.
He plays Thor very well, but Thor is fundamentally, for a start, he is a god, and he's tall, and he's blonde, and he's muscly, and he is stronger than everyone in the room. And,
he hams it up, really well.
But it's all very deadpan, and nothing can worry him. Nothing particularly worries him in this either, but it's a much more energetic character.
He's a bit kind of Jim Morrison-esque.
There is a big Jim Morrison snake hip kind of thing going on. Yeah.
And I mean, the movie's set in 1969. And so basically there's a story kind of for each guest in a kind of Tarantino-y way of, you have one story about one and then you kind of have the crossover narrative between them.
But the opening sequence is like half an hour in just one room as characters come in and out and introduce themselves. Yeah. And, the room is just so amazing.
The art direction is just beyond. It's perfect. It's beautiful. The movie is beautiful.
Yeah.
Everything is perfect. The clothes, the decor. It's just a really, really interesting movie to look at.
Yeah, I literally remember looking at this and there was a scene on a beach and I started thinking, I really wish I had watched this in the cinema, and I have not thought that in many a long year.
It is worth watching just for that.
And the music.
The music is pretty good, if somewhat, perhaps,
variations on a theme.
Well, it's like kind of pretty mainstream Four Tops, Mamas and Papas kind of.
Motown is what I think you're going for there.
Yeah, but it's the cliche, but it's fun. It's fun. I had a good time. I've listened to the soundtrack on Spotify.
Wow.
Well, that's what I use.
You're bagging it out and you're like, oh, I've been fangirling it on Spotify.
Well, it was actually, to be honest with you, after I listened to the soundtrack on Spotify, I was like, oh, okay, these are actually pretty well-known songs. It's nothing kind of new. And
there are some original compositions in there.
There are, yes. And
the singing by one of the lead characters.
Cynthia Erivo, who I think won a a Tony Award, the ones for Broadway.
Yeah.
Who plays Darlene Street, who's like a struggling
down on the luck singer.
She's an amazing voice, and probably one of the better performances in the whole show, I felt.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some really great moments with her singing, and she sings, I think, original compositions.
There are some originals, and she sings some classics. Yeah, I just loved this to bits all the way through, and it's such a long film, and
so that's, to me, it's major failing.
Mm-hmm.
Which actually, I read a review and it said, well, if you're going to do a homage to Tarantino, you might as well add the 30 minutes in that Tarantino movies don't need. Go all out, fanboy. So it is. I think it definitely needed probably even 40 minutes gone.
I don't know what you'd prune though, unless you take out the whole last third of the film.
Well, I think you could.
And I think you could take out that act.
Yeah.
But
it's too long.
Yeah, apparently it had Russell Crowe in it as well, but he ended up on the cutting room floor. So
it's got a whole bunch of actors. Like Jeff Bridges is in it. He plays
love
priest.
Jeff Bridges in this. His intimations of mortality and
he's doing a Jeff Bridges thing though.
Which Jeff Bridges?
Like thing like he does that kind of thing really well.
Yeah, he's very good at picking his roles though.
He the kind of prophet that appears. That's what he kind of is.
Oh, you could say that. I just think it's really good.
I'm not complaining. He does it really well, but John Hamm's in it. Dakota Johnson, who I think, he had to probably give her a free pass in 50 Shades of Grey because it was just so awful, but I'm not sure she's got the acting chops of her parents.
I don't think Don Johnson's that great either.
Yeah, perhaps you're right.
And
Melanie
Griffith's acting is.
She was better at picking better roles. So.
Yeah. I think Dakota is perfectly serviceable in this role. In fact, I think the that icy, inactive face she's got is perfect for this.
It's not a compliment to give to an actor that you have an inactive face.
Well, she just stares at the camera and nothing moves, but you can see those icy eyes just, planning
She has amazing
something.
hair. I'll give her
She's
that.
got great hair, yeah.
And Chris Hemsworth, who we've already mentioned. And there's a whole bunch of, it's a massive cast, but they're the main players. So the guy who wrote it and directed it, Andrew Goddard, started with that Cabin in the Woods movie. Did we review that?
No,
I
I've
don't
never
think
done
we
Cabin
have.
in the Woods.
We did watch it though.
Mm-hmm.
And made his start on writing Buffy and Lost and Alias and all those kind of big noughties shows. And I mean, he's talented. He created that TV show Daredevil, which you watched and I didn't.
Yeah. I mean, Daredevil, as we've often bemoaned, suffers the Netflix superhero disease. But the first season was had more positives than negatives, yeah. Look, I think with this film, great music, ultra-violence, interesting characters, interesting story. You don't know where this is going until very deep in. And even then, you don't know how it's going to end.
They're not afraid to kill people off, which,
yeah.
That's classic Tarantino. But...
Yeah. Beautifully shot. If you liked Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, here's a movie for you.
Yeah, I really liked it. I'm going to give it 4 stars.
4 stars? I'm going 5.
5? Wow.
Yeah. I had a good time.
Do you really think you'd re-watch it, though?
Yeah, I reckon there's tons of stuff you're not going to pick up as well. I think it's got Tarantino-esque rewatchability all over it. Plus, you can just sack out and let the soundtrack roll over you. We listened to this with the music turned way up. Way louder than we normally do.
There's just something not there, though. It just didn't get me all the way there.
All the way there.
Yeah, I can't sort of describe it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just, there were some moments in the end in those Chris Hemsworth scenes where I'm like, Chris Hemsworth doesn't have his shirt on and I'm a bit like, when's it going to end? You shouldn't be doing that when Chris Hemsworth doesn't have his shirt on.
Right.
I was a bit like, where's it going? It's kind of annoying me now, this sort of banter.
Yeah. I would say that in general, while we agree at, how long is it, 140 minutes?
How long is that? I think it's
2:20.
It's on the 2.5 hour zone.
Yeah. So in general, you'd say it could have been cut, or it could have been 2 separate movies, Kill Bill style.
I don't think he's got the
Hollywood
gravitas.
Hollywood wasn't going to pay for that. I do think though there's some brilliant pieces of writing.
There's great scenes. It's a really good movie.
The dialogue is on point for a Tarantino homage.
Yeah, I'm maybe not as clever though. There's no.
Yeah, but Tarantino can get a little over.
There's no Madonna like a virgin monologue that you will remember for the rest of your life coming from this film.
I don't know, when the guy's being shot in the face with a shotgun and Dakota's talking to him and he's asking how bad it is, and she just sort of looks at him and goes, "Well, I didn't really remember what you looked like, but I think you're going to have to accept some changes in your life."
I know, but that's a line. That's not a...
Okay.
That's what I mean. I'm not trying to be overly critical, because those bits are awesome, and when it's really, really good, it's great. You're having heaps of fun, but there's just some moments where I'm like, it's just I'm not getting off on this.
There's no Tarantino monologues. I'll give you that. Well, except for the intro to the El Royale, which got a little tiresome the second time.
See,
but that's not a classic in that way. So, if they've got Tarantino to script doctor it, just think how good.
I'm not trying to talk you down from your 5 stars. I'm
not coming down from my 5 stars.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm sticking at my 4.
Okay,
and I think people should watch it. It's a good movie.
Particularly, again, if you're a grown up.
Look, to be honest, I think this appeals to 20-year-olds.
Oh, the ultra violence is there. Yeah, they'll like that, and yeah. Yeah, there's some iffy sexual politics in there, but you got to accept this is a story about bad people. So,
it's a story too set in the 60s, and it openly acknowledges the iffy sexual politics.
Yeah,
it's not
It's not celebrating it.
No,
Yeah.
or ignorant of it. Like it's an acknowledged thing.
Okay, I think we are at the end of this pod. This has been a week to re-galvanise my TV watching. And
maybe we need to watch Maths.
I think we do, but I'm not sure how we're going to review it. Anyway, that's Married at First Sight for the international audience.
I think they know over there. They have their own.
They have their own maths. Australian maths seems to have kicked it up a gear this year.
We have a virgin, apparently.
And a bikie, yeah.
And some sort of female, questionably domestic abuser that's opening debate about...
Is he opening debate or just cashing in ratings?
She is.
All right. Anyway, let's move on.
Complex topics.
Emails. If you would like to send us an email, please do send it to gmtrpodcast@gmail.com. I promise to read out the first email we get. Alternatively, leave a comment on the podcast webpage or on Facebook or on Twitter or on YouTube. All of these are available to you, and we do encourage you to let us know what you think. And on that happy note, please review us on iTunes and give us 5 stars because that will help more people find us.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening.
Have a good week.
We'll be back next week.